Okay, Rich Van Tassel back with you, continuing on with our recap of the Week 12 games. The Tennessee Titans get themselves to 6-6, a familiar spot for them at 500 with a 27-21 victory over the Chicago Bears. Marcus Mariota, 15 for 23, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Derrick Henry, 8 carries for 60 yards, 7.5 yards per rush, a touchdown. Marcus Mariota, 4 carries for 46 yards, 11.5 yards per rush. DeMarco Murray, 17 for 43, 2.5 yards per rush. Murray had a fumble inside the red zone. I'm pretty sure he sat the rest of the way after that. The team altogether 29 of 149, 5.1 yards per carry. Very good there. Rashard Matthews, top receiver, 3 for 64, 1 touchdown. Harry Douglas, 2 for 60. Delaney Walker, 3 for 50, 1 touchdown. DeMarco Murray, 5 for 41. DeMarco Murray, as we said, fumbled the ball. It was not lost, but again, I don't remember seeing him after that. Nothing of note in the return games. Ryan Succop 2 for 2 in his field goal attempts. For the Bears, Matt Barkley getting the start today. 28 of 54, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Always been a little puzzled why Matt Barkley hasn't been given more of an opportunity in this league. I thought this guy years ago was slated to be a top overall pick or something when he was still at USC. But what I did see of this game, he's got a very live arm, pretty accurate, so let's see what Chicago develops with him the rest of the way. Jordan Howard, 18 carries, 84 yards, 4.7 yards per rush. The team, 22 of 95, 4.3 yards per rush. Marquise Wilson, a good day, receiving 8 for 125, 1 touchdown. Deontay Thompson, 5 for 44, 1 touchdown. Jordan Howard, 3 for 43. Daniel Brown had 3 receptions for 24 yards and a touchdown. Matt Barkley fumbled and recovered it. Cody Whitehair fumbled. It was not lost. Jordan Howard recovered a fumble. No sacks. Connor Bort did not attempt a field goal. So Tennessee, all the old familiar places at 6-6. They've got to try to get above 500, but certainly keeping their hopes alive in the wild card and in the division. We'll get into what Houston did a little bit later on. Houston lost, so that certainly opens things up for them. We'll actually do that game next. But Marcus Mariota, one of his more efficient games. He's been really coming along of late. As we said, it's nice to see Derrick Henry getting involved in the rushing. They can have a very solid running attack, as you saw from what they did today. Their offensive line is good, so let's see what they can do the rest of the way. For Chicago, it's about developing Matt Barkley or whoever they want to try to see what they have at quarterback position. I'm sure they probably strongly consider drafting a quarterback, but I would expect a lot of grooming who they have on their roster from this point forward. And I'd like to see what Matt Barkley can do. As we just mentioned, the Houston Texans losing their first home game to drop to 6-5, 5-1 at home to the San Diego Chargers, 21-13. San Diego is now 5-6. San Diego plays in that very tough AFC West, and this was a team I thought was going to be very bad, and they're really hanging around in there. Phillip Rivers, 22 of 30, 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Melvin Gordon running the ball, 17 carries, 70 yards, 4.1 yards per rush. The team 18 of 67 altogether. Melvin Gordon's been coming along nicely. Dontrell Illman, the top receiver, 6 for 119, a touchdown. Tyrell Williams, 8 for 70, a touchdown. Hunter Henry, 2 for 20, he also had a touchdown. Trevor Williams recovered a fumble. They had 1 sack. It was a split sack. Dwight Lowry, Casey Hayward, Dexter McCall all had interceptions, so obviously we'll have to look at Brock Osweiler in just a second. Josh Lambo missed his only field goal attempt. Brock Osweiler, 22 of 37, 246 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Lamar Miller running the ball, 19 carries, 57 yards. Brock Osweiler, 3 for 23, 7.7 yards per rush for Osweiler. He had the only touchdown. The team altogether was 27 of 114, 4.2 yards per rush. But you had the 7.7 by Osweiler. Akeem Hunt had 2 carries for 19 yards, which is 9.5. Jonathan Grimes, 2 for 14, which is 7. So the numbers look good overall with the amount of carries and average-wise. However, 19 for 57 for your top runner is not very good. DeAndre Hopkins, probably his best game this season, and it wasn't very good. 5 for 70. Will Fuller, the 5th, 4 for 60. C.J. Fedorowicz, 4 for 42. Robert Travis Nelson recovered a fumble. Lamar Miller lost a fumble. Will Fuller fumbled. It was not lost. Very careless with the ball was Houston today. They had one sack. It was Bernardrick McKinney. Quentin Demps had an interception. Nick Novak 2 for 2 in his field goal. So San Diego, like we said, Phillip Rivers can still get the job done at quarterback. He can still distribute. He can still find guys, and he can still put up numbers. And San Diego, like we said, hey, tonight Kansas City and Denver are playing each other. The loser of that game is going to be 7-4. Opens things up just a bit for the wild card. Remember, San Diego, as far back as they would be in the wild card, I'm guessing they still have to play Denver and they still have to play Kansas City once more. So they have a much better opportunity than some of the other teams, like, say a Buffalo or a Tennessee or whoever else in the wild card race. As for Houston, Brock Osweiler, boy, he is really disappointed this season. The turnover is terrible. You turn the ball over the way they did today, and you're going to lose more often than not. And that's what happened to them today. So Houston, hey, 6-5. They're still on top of that weak division, but they're keeping a lot of teams in it. Maybe they'll go to someone else. It's interesting to see how you let Ryan Mallett walk out the door. I know Mallett's had his issues off the field and, clashes with coaches, but I mean, for this guy to not get a chance for a team like Houston who's turning to a Brock Osweiler who can't get the job done, it's very surprising. Cincinnati, their season effectively ending today. They fall to 3-7-1, 1-5 on the road. That's a killer right there, as they lose 14-19 to the Baltimore Ravens, who are 6-5, 4-2 at home, and still sitting on top of the AFC North. Andy Dalton, 26-48, 283 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception. Rex Burkhead, the top rusher, 5 for 29, 5.8 yards per rush. Jeremy Hill, 12 for 21. The team altogether 20 of 64, 3.2 yards per rush. Not very good there. Tyler Eifert, top receiver, 5 for 68, 1 touchdown. Tyler Boyd, 5 for 62. Jeremy Hill, 6 for 61. Cedric Ogboye recovered a fumble. Andy Dalton fumbled 4 times, lost 2 of them. Not very good. 2 sacks for the Bengals. Carlos Dunlap and Michael Johnson, 2 of the vaunted defensive linemen, had a sack. Ray Maluga had an interception. Adam Erickson, 4 kick returns, 102 yards. That's over 25 yards per return, so solid there. Mike Nugent, 2 for 2 in his field goals. And the highest return was 30 yards, so he was clearly pretty consistent there. Joe Flacco, 25 of 36, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Kenneth Dixon, top rusher, 13 of 49, 3.8 yards per rush. Terrence West, 13 of 48, 3.7 yards per rush. The team altogether 30 carries of 92 yards, 3.1 yards per rush. However, that included a minus 23-yard run at the end of the game. Sam Cook, the punter, was essentially running the clock out and then ran out of the back of the end zone. So the running numbers, you got to take with a grain of salt when you look at it. And but also Joe Flacco had 2 carries for 19 yards, so that kind of buoys him a little high. I don't know how they're only at 3.1 with a negative 23-yard rush, and Mike Wallace was -1. Considering the 2 running backs who got the bulk of the carries weren't even at 4 yards per carry, but whatever. Whatever. I'm not going to figure out the math right now. Mike Wallace, top receiver, 3 for 57. Dennis Pitta, 3 for 34. Kenneth Dixon, 4 for 31. Brashad Perriman had the only touchdown. It was a 14-yard catch. Elvis Dumerville recovered a fumble. Lawrence Guy recovered a fumble. Devin Hester recovered a fumble. 3 sacks. Elvis Dumerville, one of them. Terrell Suggs, the other 2. Justin Tucker, 4 for 4 in his field goal. So Cincinnati, out of it. They're out of it. They're done. They can't win that division, especially with Baltimore sitting 4-0 on top of the division. Andy Dalton hasn't been great. The receivers not been consistent, even with A.J. Green. As for the Baltimore Ravens, their defense, obviously one of the best in the league, and they're going back to the old Ravens way of winning because Joe Flacco has really not been very good this season. Their offense in general has not been very good. They're struggling to run the ball. Flacco's numbers, he's hitting a few deep shots here and there. Sure, but altogether Flacco is nothing spectacular. So let's see how long the Ravens can keep this up. They're 4-0 in that division, though, which certainly gives them a leg up over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going to be interesting to see what happens with those 2 teams down the stretch because Baltimore's already beaten Pittsburgh and is 4-0 in the division to Pittsburgh's 2-1. Interesting. Well, watch out for that the rest of the way. And the San Francisco 49ers have now lost 10 straight. They lose to the Miami Dolphins, who have won 6 straight and are now 7-4, 31-24 Miami. Colin Kaepernick, 29 of 46, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. We're not even going to go into Colin Kaepernick talking about Fidel Castro. That's a completely different subject, but not something I'm really okay with. Colin Kaepernick was also the top rusher, 10 carries, 113 yards. That's 11.3 yards per rush. Carlos Hyde, 13 of 65, 6.5 yards per rush. The team was 25 carries, 193 yards, 7.7 yards per rush. Again, you're running that ball that effectively. You look at the quarterback runs. I didn't see a lot of this game. I'm assuming they're not based off scrambles, because we know Chip Kelly will use his quarterback to run, especially a guy like Colin Kaepernick. But you're running the ball at 7.7 yards per carry through 3 guys who are all above 5 yards per carry, and yet you're passing the ball 21 more times than you're running it. Now, I understand they fell behind in this game, but it was only 14-7 at halftime, so it's not like they were really getting blitzed, and it was 24-14 at the end of 3 quarters. So what excuse? I mean, there is none. You got to be able to stay more balanced. Vance McDonald, top receiver, 4 for 60. Sean Drone, 6 for 49. Rod Streeter, 4 for 46. Carlos Hyde was 5 for 30. Torrey Smith, 3 for 24. And Garrett Selleck, 2 for 19. Receiving, all of them had the touchdowns. Garrett Selleck lost a fumble. The team had 2 sacks. One of them was split between Amon Brooks, who's quietly putting together a pretty decent year on a poor team. Ja'Cory Shepard, return-wise, nothing important there. Phil Dawson made his only field goal. For the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill, 20 of 30, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jay Ajayi, 18 carries, 45 yards, 2.5 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Ryan Tannehill, 6 for 34, 5.7 yards per rush. The team altogether 26 of 95, 3.7 yards per rush, and the touchdown by Ajayi. Kenny Stills, top receiver, 3 for 72, 1 touchdown. Devontae Parker, 3 for 64. Deion Sims, 4 for 53. He had a touchdown. Leonte Carroo had a 15-yard touchdown reception. Kiko Alonso recovered a fumble. Jakeem Grant fumbled and recovered it. The team had 2 sacks. Cameron Wake had 1, still getting the job done. Andre Branch the other. Kiko Alonso had an interception. Andrew Franks 1 for 1 in his field goals. Hey, the Miami Dolphins, it came down to like a final play in this game. It wasn't a case where they weren't taking San Francisco seriously, were looking down on a bad team. San Francisco just played well, did not quit in this one. I hats off to the Miami Dolphins for not looking past the San Francisco 49ers. A professional team came in there and kept it close. This wasn't anything Miami was doing wrong. San Francisco just came out and played well. As for them, we've discussed the balance all year between run and pass. It wasn't there again today, and for a quarterback like Colin Kaepernick, who has done as much as he's done in the past, I'm really surprised at how poor this team is. For the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill, got to give him credit that we're not running the ball well, and he was able to find a way to carry this team to victory. I really like what they're doing in the passing game with Stills, with Jarvis Landry, with Devontae Parker. They have some weapons there, and they could be a very interesting team. But right now, they should be at bare minimum tied with the wild card because of the game tonight. The loser will have to drop to 7-4. So Miami's certainly right in the thick of things moving forward, and let's see what they'll do moving on. But certainly a nice sign by them not looking past a poor San Francisco 49ers team who brought everything today. Did not ever quit, and Miami was professional. Miami tried to step on them early. Miami did not really give San Francisco anything in this one. So hats off to the Dolphins for coming away with a victory against a game team that really was desperate and didn't have much to play for, but still came out and played anyway. Alright, so once the rest of these games go final, we will give you the rest of the recap for Week 12 of the NFL season. We'll see you later. Thanks.